Hi, welcome back to this fourth Book of Enoch live read. If you are joining us for the first time, we are reading from the R.H. Charles translation. There's a link in the description if you'd like to follow along. And as always, this is my disclaimer so that you know where I'm coming from with this live read. I'm exploring it as a piece of history. I don't take the stance that it's scripture, but I come from the belief that this is a part of history that people like in the New Testament. I believe Jude is the book where they reference back to a part of the Book of Enoch. So the writers of the Bible, the people of that time, they looked at Enoch as a history book. So I am reading through the Book of Enoch for the first time, and I am not reading ahead. So like you're getting my actual reaction here as I'm reading along to it. Yeah, and so I'm excited to explore it from that historical perspective. So, hey, you made it, Ricky. Thank you for being here. I know you've been missing those notifications; they're just not coming. So I appreciate that you were able to make it to this one. Hey, Hex Huddle, always nice to see you. Crypto Compassion, yes, so nice seeing you in the live chat. And you are excited to explore me too. I am also. And the nice thing about YouTube versus TikTok, if we say that, we're not going to get a bunch of 5,000 people coming at us saying scammers. So if you know, you know. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and start the read. And so for anyone just hopping into the live chat right now, if you want to follow along, in the description is a link to the R.H. Charles translation, which I am reading from. And we will be reading from, I think we're starting from chapter 12 tonight, and we'll see where it goes. So I'm going to hop into that now. You know what? I should just screen share it and then we can read it, look at it together. I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that sooner? Okay. Let me share my screen. Where is the Chrome tab? There we go. Wow, look at that. Okay. Here we go. Let me just double check that it's up there. Yes, it is. Oh, look how wonderful that is. All right. So chapter 12. Before these things, Enoch was hidden, and no one of the children of men knew where he was hidden and where he abode and what had become of him. And his activities had to do with the watchers, and his days were with the holy ones. And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of majesty and the King of the ages. And lo, the watchers called me, Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, thou scribe of righteousness, go declare to the watchers of heaven who have left the high heaven, the holy eternal place, and have defiled themselves with women, and have done as the children of earth do, and have taken unto themselves wives. Ye have wrought great destruction on the earth, and ye shall have no peace nor forgiveness of sin, and inasmuch as they delight themselves in their children. The murder of their beloved ones shall they see, and over the destruction of their children shall they lament, and shall make supplication unto eternity. But mercy and peace ye shall not attain. Chapter 13. And Enoch went and said, Azazel, thou shalt have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against thee to put thee in bonds, and thou shalt not have toleration, nor request granted to thee, because of the unrighteousness which thou hast taught, and because of all the works of godlessness and unrighteousness and sin which thou hast shown to men. Then I went and spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid, and fear and trembling seized them. And they besought me to draw up a petition for them, that they might find forgiveness, and to read their petition in the presence of the Lord of heaven. For from forward they could not speak with him, nor lift up their eyes to heaven for shame of their sins, for which they had been condemned. Then I wrote out their petition and the prayer in regard to their spirits and their deeds individually, and in regards to the request that they should have forgiveness and length of days. And I went off and sat down at the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the south of the west of Hermon. I read their petition till I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell down upon me, and I saw visions of chastisement. And a voice came bidden me, I to tell it to the sons of heaven and reprimand them. And when I awaked, I came unto them, and they were all sitting gathered together, weeping in Abel's jail, which is between Lebanon and Sennacer, with their faces covered. And I recounted before them all the visions which I had seen in sleep, and I began to speak the words of righteousness and to reprimand the heavenly watchers. I'm just struck by that chapter because when you, and I know, I'm sorry, this is a read through, but I just have to stop for a second because it's interesting because, the fallen angels, um, the watchers that had fallen from heaven, it's like they thought they were going to get forgiveness, which is pretty wild. So they completely rebel against God. They leave heaven and then they do all these evil things on earth. And yes, we as humans, we're given that grace and forgiveness, but they're held to a different standard. But it seems like a little unbelievable that they would then turn around and think that God would still give them forgiveness. But apparently they did because they asked and they thought that they asked Enoch to be their go between. So I found that really interesting. That struck me. Um, Chapter 14. The book of the words of righteousness and of the reprimands of the eternal watchers, in accordance with the command of the Holy Great One in that vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now say with the tongue of flesh and with the breath of my mouth, which the Great One has given to men to converse therewith and understand with the heart. As he has created and given to man the power of understanding, the word of wisdom, so hath he created me and also given me the power of reprimanding the watchers, the children of heaven. I wrote out your petition, and in my vision it appeared thus, that your petition will not be granted unto you throughout all the days of eternity, and that judgment has finally been passed upon you. Yea, your petition will not be granted unto you. And from henceforth you shall not ascend into heaven unto all eternity, and in bonds of the earth the decree has gone forth to bind you for all the days of the world. And that previously ye shall have seen the destruction of your beloved sons, and ye shall have no pleasure in them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. And your petition on their behalf shall not be granted, nor yet on your own, even though you weep and pray and speak all the words contained in the writings which I have written. And the vision was shown to me thus. Behold, in the vision, clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me, and the course of the stars and the lightning sped and hastened me, and the winds in the vision caused me to fly, and lifted me upward, and bore me into heaven. And I went in till I drew nigh to a wall, which is built of crystals and surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to affright me. I went into the tongues of fire and drew nigh to a large house, which was built of crystals. And the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor made of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystal. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their heaven was as clear as water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire. And I entered into that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. There were no delights of life therein. Fear covered me, and trembling got hold upon me. And as I quaked and trembled, I fell upon my face, and I beheld a vision. And lo, there was a second house, greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me. And it was built of flames of fire, and in every respect it so excelled in splendor and magnificence and extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and its extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings and the path of the stars, and its ceiling was also flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a lofty throne. Its appearance was as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. And there was the vision of cherubim. And from underneath the throne came streams of flaming fire, so that I could not look thereon. And the great glory sat thereon, and his raiment shone more brightly than the sun, and was whiter than any snow. None of the angels could enter, and could behold his face by reason of the magnificence and glory, and no flesh could behold him. The flaming fire was round about him, and a great fire stood before him, and yet none around could draw nigh him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, yet he needed no counselor. And the most holy ones who were nigh to him did not leave by night, nor depart from him. And until then, I had been prostrate on my face, trembling. And the Lord called me with his own mouth and said to me, Come hither, Enoch, and hear my word. And one of the holy ones came to me and waked me. And he made me rise up and approach the door, and I bowed my face downwards. Chapter 15. And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, Fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach hither and hear my voice. And go, say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee to intercede for them, you should intercede for men, and not men for you. Wherefore have ye left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and have done the children of earth, and begotten giants as your sons? And though ye were wholly spiritual, living the eternal life, ye have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh. And as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, as those also who do die and perish, therefore I have given them wives also, that they may impregnate them and beget children by them, that thus nothing might be wanting to them on earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you, for as the spiritual ones of the heaven, in heaven is their dwelling. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women, because they have proceeded from them. So, chapter 16. From the days of the slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, from the souls of whose flesh the spirits, having gone forth, shall destroy without incurring judgment. Thus shall they destroy until the day of the consummation, the great judgment, in which the age shall be consummated over the watchers and the godless, yea, shall be wholly consummated. And now, as to the watchers who have sent thee to intercede for them, who hath been aforetime in heaven, say to them, You have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you, and you knew worthless ones. And these in the hardness of your hearts you have made known to the women, and through these mysteries women and men work much evil on earth. Say to them, therefore, you have no peace. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at there before Enoch's journeys through the earth in Sheol, or Sheol. Okay. There we go. So, okay, that's pretty intense. So now we've gotten to the part where, like, the watchers apparently like asked Enoch to be an intercessor to ask for forgiveness, and he spoke to God. Sounds like, yeah, he was in God's throne room, and it's interesting because none of the angels could behold his face, and no flesh could behold his face. So I'm guessing Enoch wasn't looking at him, but he was, in the throne room communicating with God, and God, or through his vision of the throne room. But God laid it out and gave the explanation that these are spiritual beings. That you're spiritual beings, and your place was up here, but you decided to go down to the earth, and now it is what it is. And that there was no forgiveness for that. And it's interesting because now their children became spirits of the earth. So like they're like this in between thing. It's interesting. Very, I don't know. I'm just kind of dissecting it as we go, because like I said, that's my initial reaction, my first reaction to it. It's pretty it's interesting. It's pretty I don't know, intriguing to see it all together. And it makes sense, especially when you look at this, put it through this perspective, put it through this lens, and look at the evil in the world, and how, different things like UFOs and giants, and where and the why of it. Like, I feel like when you put things through this Enoch lens, this Genesis 6 lens, so many things fall into place, or at least for me, so many things make a lot of sense. And something that I thought was really interesting in there was when God was like, said to the watchers basically like, you didn't know all the mysteries, they weren't revealed to you, so whatever mysteries that you took and you shared with the humans, those are worthless mysteries. You know what you knew and what you shared, that wasn't any of the important stuff. So I thought that was very interesting. um hmm, yeah, so I don't know. I'm just dissecting it as we go. But thank you guys for sticking in this, and walking through it and listening to it with me. So pretty intriguing stuff there. Hey Hex Glenn, Crypto Compassion says it would have been so nice to live back then. So exciting. Um, yeah, I don't know though. I would want to live in the pre-flood world with all the evil and all that Nephilim running around. But it's interesting because they do say that the last days will be like the days of Noah, and people like to say we're at the last days. I don't know, but personally, I I don't think so. But yeah, things make you wonder. But I'm like, well, if we have to get to the days of Noah, people are like, well, we're pretty depraved and warped now. But I kind of look at it like that pre-flood world with the all that darkness and the Nephilim and the people really suffering under them. I'm like, doesn't that mean we'd have to be that bad? Does it mean that these things return? I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. There's a lot of different interpretations on the book of Revelation. I forget all the names for all the beliefs in it, but I don't know, some cool things to explore. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for hanging out for that little mini live stream, these little 15-minute live streams. I will see you all soon. You guys have a good night, and thanks again. And like I said, my link is in the bio for the R.H. Charles translation that I was reading from. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Bye.